Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 364. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. It's Monday, September the 11th.
It is.
2017. Not every episode can be Laura High, so...
That's unfortunate.
It really is.
I think a lot of people would prefer those episodes,
Yeah.
just based on comments.
We did get an overwhelming response of people who enjoyed the lower
Threshold of...
propriety, perhaps. Yeah, of last week. So,
Oh, you know what we have to talk about that we forgot on the show notes is Craft All the Things. The Halloween Craft All the Things.
Okay, I'll add it to the bottom.
Yes.
So, this is a knitting show most of the time. Do you want to talk about your knitting?
Sure. I have the same two projects on the needles, which is super interesting for everyone. I am knitting on a pair of socks out of HD yarns. I'm trying to get these done. They've been on the needles since March, and I would like to reclaim these needles for the good of everyone else. And then start my Desert Vista dye work socks. So I do have them to the point where I'm increasing for the heel gussets. This is what they look like. This is sock number 2. I got these as a gift from someone, and they came in like balls that were already divided.
It's kind of like Mustache's OCD schemes. Yeah. They're already separated.
So this was the first one.
This is the longest sock in the history of socks.
Look, when you've got like OCD skeins, I just want to keep... Actually, what happened was I was at that autism conference, and I didn't bring my second cake with me. Mm. And I was sitting in a conference, and I was like, I have 2 more hours.
I'm not going to finish this off now.
And I would like to finish it, but then I'd have nothing to work on.
Yeah.
So I need to knit on the sock longer. So this is actually for my sister, or maybe Matt. Matt could rock these.
I think that he would look amazing in those sort of like
crazy,
like Pez colored clown vomit socks.
So the pattern that it uses is Wendy Johnson's Toe Up Gusset pattern, which is free on her website. Also, if her book Socks from the Toe Up is like my favorite, one of my favorite, it's in the top 5 favorite sock books of all time.
Laura usually knits her socks toe up.
I do. So you start with a toe and you increase out, and then you zip up, and then you start increasing on one side, and when you get to a magic number, which Wendy has for free on her website, then you turn the heel, and you don't have to pick up any stitches on this, but it does form that gusset like you did pick up stitches. Does that make sense? Like there's the gusset. You see it? It's right there.
I mean, I don't think I've ever done that particular pattern, so I don't understand the magic of it.
And then you just zip up, and then you do ribbing, and you bind off. And if you're like me, you always have a different color at the very tip of the bind off.
That's how you know Laura knit the sock.
Yeah, seriously.
It's like her signature.
It kind of is. So I am at this gusset increase point. So you increase out on one side, and that is what I'm on. I am using, what are these, Chagu. Did you like how I tried to like combine Haya and Chagu into Haigu? This is their interchangeable set, the red lace small size interchangeable set, and I am enjoying them immensely, which is why these and like sock rockets I think are my favorite sock needles.
And you're knitting on what size?
0s, for sure. This is kind of a chunkier weight, so the 0s seem to be getting me a decent,
denser fabric than usual. That is denser than your usual.
I feel like it is. I am knitting these on 64 stitches. That has been my default since I went down to 0s. So like sport weight, I would probably work on size 56 and maybe even 1s. Maybe.
You're gonna break your heart when it gets to my turn.
I am. I already know that my heart's going to be broken. And this is going to be hanging out in my Christmas bag because that's probably when I'll finish it. It might actually go away because it is the 11th and I only have 20 days to finish my Desert Vista socks.
I was going to ask, have you even cast those on?
No, I haven't even cast them on. So, but when I do cast them on, I already have the bag that they're going in. Well, it's a Halloween bag from Vet Squirrel that I bought just for those.
Oh.
Also,
that makes total sense. Buying a project bag for one pair of socks, completely
because they're the
sane.
witches colorway. If she had a Roald Dahl Witches project bag, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I need people to make Roald Dahl, like the Quentin Blake illustration fabric. It would be copyrighted.
I don't
It
know
would be
what that
totally
means, but...
illegal. I will show you when we are not recording. And then the other thing that I made progress on is my even star. So I am halfway through a row, but when I finish this row, it will be at 17%.
And according to your sheet, what do you have to be at today?
By today. No, I'm not doing it by days.
You're doing it by weeks.
I'm doing it by weeks because I started doing it by days and then I was driving myself insane and giving myself a lot of stress. And like tonight, I am on 2 different school committees. Both have meetings at the same time this afternoon. So I went from one to the other. One's TST, which is getting kids that are 1 to 2 years behind that need extra help, the help that they need. And if they aren't progressing, then we need to start testing for special education. And the other one was Mississippi State gave bonus checks to teachers. Well, to schools. So if you were an A school in 2015, 2016 and had a certain percentage of growth, you got $100 per kid for your school to split in some way. If you were a B school, which we were, it was $75. So it was like around $80,000 because we're at like 1,200 kids-ish to split between teachers in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So some schools, not us, because this is what Wheezy and I, when we were coming in, I was talking about a caste system.
Mm-hmm.
So some schools decided to do, if you were a tested subject area, then that teacher got a larger percent than like teachers like special ed and science and social studies, which are not, social studies isn't tested, and then people like me that are considered like support staff got like the lowest percent.
Mm-hmm.
So just let's say, you know, English teachers got 65 and math teachers got 65%, then like the support staff got 25%, and then like people like me got 10%. But that kind of creates like a caste system in your school, so we weren't on board with that. So everyone's getting the same amount at my school. We just split it amongst the teachers that were here last year. Like if you're a returning teacher, then you're getting it. Anyway, so I'm on 2 different committees. Isn't that fun? And I got to stay after school. My school goes from 6:50 until 3. And I got to stay till 4. And then I had volleyball at 5. So poor Pearl got out for like 45 minutes. And she kind of gave me this look like, listen, lady.
We need to have a talk about all the stuff that you do.
The stuff that you do is insane. So I did volleyball book, and then I immediately left my school and came here to record a podcast. Because I love y'all that much. Anyway, we were talking about Even Star and how I don't do daily things because that would stress me out because like today, no time, and then I would feel like I was behind. And then, I'm talking really fast, I would have to like stay up till midnight getting that percentage.
And then you'd make a mistake.
Yeah, and then I'd
cry and burn it.
I would just start burning wool, which is not flammable. It just kind of smolders a little bit. So I would have like this sad smoldering piece of wool and a charcoal grill and some bent signatures as I threw them, and it would just be terrible. So what I'm doing instead is I have 3 months to do this, which is 12 weeks.
She has 3 months to do this because of an imaginary online competition for points that don't matter. But it's a goal she set for herself. So it's not like there's a bomb in her house. It's going to go off in 3 months if this isn't done.
I'm not on a bus, and if I go below 65 miles per hour, I've never seen that movie.
55, I think.
Okay.
Or 50 or 55, I can't remember.
Was it Speed?
Speed.
Isn't Sandra Bullock in it?
Sandra Bullock.
Is Keanu Reeves in it?
Keanu Reeves.
See, we should do that as our next
terrible 90s movie
movie night. We watched Empire Records and Rat Race in the terrible 90s movie night vein, and Labyrinth, which was 80s.
Yeah, we need recommendations. Maybe for the next giveaway. Ooh, I've got stuff to give away, but I don't have it up here, I don't think. Maybe next week I'll bring it up and we can have people suggest the best, like, besties movie night movie.
Okay, that's a good plan.
Clueless.
But we've already watched Empire Records and Labyrinth and Goonies a bunch of times. And we just watched Baywatch this past week again because it's amazing. You're welcome. Alright, so Even Star. I'm trying to get 10% done a week because and my week ends on a Friday night. because that's when the
So
month
on Friday,
ends.
what percentage were you at?
At Friday, I was at 14%.
Okay, and where are you now?
And I am at 17% right now. So I did not make, like, if I was to break it down into days, it would be like 1% during the weekday and then like 3% on the weekend, but that did not happen because I had the funeral on Saturday and it just didn't happen. I wasn't going to stress myself out over it, and I was already ahead. So I'm okay with my 10%. All right, you want to see this and you don't want to listen to my chatter anymore. So this is at 17%, and it's all squished up on there.
Yeah, it's on a teeny tiny needle.
Yeah, it's on a 20-inch right now, signature. And that's because you can see the variegations in the handspun. So this is out of my handspun.
It's more like wide stripes, which I dig.
It is. I don't know why it's doing, like...
You just hit sections with a little bit of white in it, maybe?
Yeah.
It toned it out.
A lighter. Some. Yeah, it's a tonal. It's
so show it so they can see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like wide bands.
Yeah. So we'll see how it looks when it's all... And this fiber was from Southern Cross. It was around 8 ounces that I spun into, how many yards? 1,800 yards of lace.
Yeah, 1,800, I think.
And that was an owl last summer. I like that. Did you see that leaf motif? I think that's my favorite so far.
I think it's in the 4th section where it looks like cathedral windows. That was my favorite.
Okay, I'm not there yet. I'm not to Twisted Stitches yet. Twisted Stitches come at the end of this chart. I'm on chart 2 of 4.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking 3. Because chart 4 is the edging.
That's not what I said. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it was the 3rd chart.
And then towards the end of the 2nd chart, you get Twisted Stitches. Really? And then, because I'm having so much fun with the regular lace. And we'll go from there. And so far, knock on wood, every error I've made, like, because I have all these markers... You see all those markers? It's like a marker palooza. There's a marker every 20 stitches, and there's 280 stitches on here right now. And there's a little owl marker for my start of the round because it's my owl project.
See what she did there?
And I have a little stopper from Jelby, and it's a sheep with a balloon. Because for Punky's first, another Crafty Girl's first anniversary, there were these sheeps with balloons. And my cat ate the sheep off the wall, and I got very sad. There was just a little sad red balloon.
Oh.
It was a stitch marker, and so Carrie, I called Carrie with I texted her a very sad picture. So she made me a stitch stopper with a little sheep. Look at his balloon. It's the cutest thing you will ever see.
Now I've got 99 left balloons.
Yes, and you should. Also, one of my coworkers, someone, not me, is torturing her, like, with it. I guess there's a red balloon, and they keep tying red balloons on her mailbox at home. And today, someone tied it on her door handle at work. And I wish it was me, but it's not.
They made a remake of it, I guess, but they're breaking it into 2 parts, from what I understand, because, like, half of the movie is sort of a flashback to when these kids were young, and then half of the movie is them as adults when this bad thing comes back. But the way I understand it, with the new one, the first movie is them as kids, and then the second movie is them as adults. And
I don't know. Mr. Gilder, Jeff Gilder, came to my... Do you know Mr. Gilder? Oh, never mind. It's this guy who works at county office, and he's very funny, and he came to my school today, and he was telling me how messed up that movie was.
The old
and then
one
he asked
is.
me if I had the book. No, he went and saw the new one.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't have any Stephen King in my library.
I haven't. I should look and see if it's any good, or maybe ask people who've seen it, because it just came out.
Yeah, it came out, like, Friday, I think.
See if it's any good. I mean, the old one was kind of hard to watch.
It had Tim Curry in it.
It did.
And one of the famous, like, there's a Instagram account called History Photographed, and one of the photographs they showed, like, Tim Curry smoking in clown makeup in the rain with, like, an umbrella. I need to find this picture. I will find it while you talk. Anyway, those are the only 2 projects I have. Also, this is my very cool bag from Chicken Boots. It's a Luna Lovegood bag. She has some cool new fall prints that I was eyeing. And I'm pulling from the outside of my cake because that is what winners do. when you have 1,800 yards of lace weights.
I've pretty much gone to the point now where I always pull from the outside.
Do you? I don't always, but I do
because
sometimes.
that way I don't have to rewind the cake when I'm done.
Yeah.
So.
All right, I'm gonna find this picture for everyone.
So while Laura's doing that, I don't have a ton of knitting to show this week. I've got like this weird dry skin spot on my finger that makes knitting really difficult. A couple of you guys recommended some options, and one of them was the liquid bandage, which I tried and will not do again because I think it's because this is like right in the crack of where my finger, like the bend, that actually exacerbated the problem. Oh, that's not as creepy as I was hoping.
There's Tim Curry in It, smoking in the rain.
Yeah.
There's other ones here, too. How many Tim Curry smoking dressed as It photographs do you need?
Most of what I've seen Tim Curry that I enjoyed was from
Rocky Horror?
Rocky Horror, yeah.
I love him in Clue.
Yeah.
I think people just take that and, like, yeah, they just, Photoshop that. The people Photoshop it in other weird things.
Oh, that's in the IT crowd.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of him in this is IT crowd too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they can't see this, so
people are just photoshopping that picture into other like IT crowd pictures. You're welcome for that little sidebar of human culture.
So I don't have a ton of knitting this week, but some girlfriends of ours and I decided we were going to do this sort of self-striping club, and it was going to be anything, right? Not just Desert Vista. It can be anything, even, not Desert Vista for a little bit.
Because you have lots of self-striping.
We do. We have lots of Desert Vista, but I've also I knit 6 months worth, so I'm going to take a break from Desert Vista and then try it again next year, starting in, the first of the year. So, this month I picked a Jinx yarn, which I got at one of the SSKs. I couldn't tell you where or when.
I think last year or the year before. This
is the sport weight, self-striping in the Abandoned Carnival colorway.
I do like this color.
Jinx is Laura Jimenez.
Yeah.
And her husband Jose is usually with her.
They're adorable.
For market day, at least at SSK. So this is what it looks like in the cake. It's very sort of muted colors.
Yes.
And I think it definitely captures Abandoned Carnival pretty well.
I would agree.
It looks like, bright colors that have been left out to fade by the sun and the rain.
So that reminds me of that amusement park in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. That's been abandoned. The people do urban exploration.
Yeah, that's what that reminds me of.
Yeah. So I decided I would do a sport weight sock because I didn't start it until late in the, I consider it late in the month. Like, I think it was the 5th or the 6th, something like that when I started it.
Look at that. Look at you go.
And
you're so speedy.
I did a tubular cast on, so the edge is super stretchy. And I have this little Truffles Shuffle unicorn stitch marker. This is to mark at 5.5 inches so that when I look back down, I know how much further I need to go. These are for someone else probably, although I'm not entirely certain who yet. But I do like how they're coming out. It's not real precise stripe lines. It's definitely more of a
subtle,
more of a muted sort of colors just kind of meld into each other, which I like.
It's more of a watercolor effect.
Yeah, there you go. I did do a different heel than usual.
What did you do?
I went to the Heels by Number page, which I use all the time. It's a free, just Google Heels by Number, and it's a free site that comes up that tells you, it's meant for top-down socks, but it tells you if you have this many stitches for your heel and you want a round heel, do this. If you want a triangular heel, do this. If you want a square heel, do this.
Oh, cool.
But it had one called a German strap heel.
Yeah,
which
Laura
is a more
Nalkin does that, or not Laura Nalkin. Laura, what is her name?
Neil.
Yes.
And so it's a little bit more squared.
I think she does that one.
And so instead of when you're generally doing a short row top down heel, you sort of divide it into thirds.
Yeah.
And you do you create holes and then close them. And this one is more like quarter to, half, and then a quarter on the other edge.
So it's wider.
So it creates more of a square look to it. So, again, this is just called the German strap heel.
That's interesting. What size needles are you using with that?
I am using 3mm US 2.5 needles with sport. And it's, like, feel the density. It's really
it's
dense.
nice.
So,
it's denser than my socks and on size zeros.
yeah, well, that's a good thing and a bad thing. Now I'm warm enough I can actually take this off. My house fluctuates from like cold storage to moderate temperature. So these are knitting up pretty quick because they're sport, which is nice. I haven't knit on them a ton. And then let's see what else. I started a new embroidery project.
Is it a unicorn?
It's not.
Oh. Is it an alpaca? No. That's a cat.
It is. This is another from Hawthorne Handmade.
That's super cute. Lynn would like that.
And it's just a cat at rest. And I just started it. So I outlined the cat in a gray.
Was that pre-printed fabric?
Mm-mm.
So
No.
how did that happen?
I've got your mom actually when I went to her house last had this. It's about this thick, so it's about a centimeter thick, and it's about the size of a sheet of legal paper, but slightly wider.
You talking about the light box?
Yeah, it's a little light box. It's just that thin.
Yeah.
It sits on the bookshelf. So I ordered one a while back. I think that it was cheap too. It was like $20, and it just plugs into a micro USB. It's got several different settings. So I put the paper down and put the fabric on top, and used a disappearing ink like sewing marker. And traced it all. So it's not perfect, but it's not going to be perfect anyway. So it doesn't bother me.
Interesting.
So. Yeah, I just started it. There's still a lot to go, but...
How do other people do that? Like, do they all use that technique with the light box?
Well, there's also what's called transfer. There's different methods. So there's a transfer pen, and there's several different kinds. But the downside to the transfer pens is they're permanent.
Oh, so you would have to make sure you're stitching very exactly.
Right. And that you cover it completely. Which I'm not... I'm too imprecise for that, so I don't do that. But there's also tracing, like they're like colored pencils, but it's a specific type of lead, and you would do the same general thing. You use a really thin tracing paper, and then you trace the image on, but you have to trace it in reverse, because then you take that tracing paper and you put it onto your fabric upside down, and you use a steam iron to transfer.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Continue.
Which I've tried that and just not had great success at it. So I just prefer to use. You can also, if you don't have a light box, you can take, and I've done this before too.
A window.
Yeah, or a sliding glass door. You can tape your image.
That's the original light box.
Yep, you tape your image onto the flat surface, the glass door or the window, and then you tape your fabric on top of it, and you want to tape it down because otherwise it's going to move.
Yeah.
And then you just trace it.
I've played that game
way.
before.
Oh yeah, so have I. And nobody wins that game.
Nope, except for the chicken.
So
the chicken always wins. That is so. Leslie, when she worked at the casinos, they had this game called Tic-Tac-Toe.
Tic-Tac-Toe. It wasn't at our casino. It was at another casino in the Tunica, Mississippi area.
And you played Tic-Tac-Toe against a chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And the chicken always wins.
Yes. You might be asking yourself, how does a chicken play tic-tac-toe?
As you would.
Right? And the chicken is enclosed, and like you can't really interact with the chicken.
You can tap on the glass, I guess. That would be terrible.
The way that I understand it is that
There's feed.
there's some like indicator on the floor, because the way the chicken chooses where to go is it taps its beak onto the floor, and the way I understand it, there's some indicator, you know, a blinking red light or something.
And then it gets food, probably.
Yeah, that would be my guess. I'm not entirely sure. They don't do it anymore. It's probably against all sorts of laws. This was
the 90s.
Yeah, this was like late 90s, early 2000. But a friend of mine was there and was watching, you know, in complete confusion. And an old Southern guy came up to him and he's like, I've seen this game before. The chicken, it always wins. And so that's just been a joke since then. Anyway, I did finish a thing.
A thing?
I finished my alpaca.
The alpaca.
With his little...
I got to learn all about the difference between alpacas and llamas. Llamas are pure evil. That's the main difference.
They carry knives and they harm school children.
They eat bananas. Was that part of it?
With some very funny images in our thread from last week. So, yeah, this is from Hawthorne Handmade, and it needs to be washed because you can still see the marker marks underneath the stitches. But all those French knots, look at all those French knots. So
Carrie would be all about those French knots.
Carrie can probably French knot circles around me.
She's like a fiend.
Yeah. Carrie
Jelby.
is our friend Jelby, who does French knots for almost all of her
sheep.
little figurines.
French knotted.
So I don't know what I want to do with this. I want to put it on something. I was thinking like the front of a journal or something, but
That'd be cute.
I don't use a journal.
Like bullet journal type thing.
So I might just make a collection of stuff I'm not going to use and then just give a bunch of it away. Like I'm doing with knitting stuff, so. Because it'll make me happy to make them. But that's all I've got. That's my entire crafting for the entire week. I have been, I did have a lovely viewer a while back send me, I think every single color of embroidery thread ever made by DNC.
Oh, cool.
In triplicate.
So that's very nice.
It's fantastic, except they're all still in the skeins, right? So it makes it hard to find a particular color, but I've got a whole method
You were
in my
winding
head.
stuff, yeah.
I am. I'll tell you guys more about it, but I've got like a great display method picked out that I haven't seen anybody else do yet, and I have Pinterested the crap out of it. So more about that once I figure it out.
Okay.
But you got a bunch of spinning.
I do. I finished a bunch of projects. So, we have to pull for Patreon, too.
Oh, didn't we do that?
Nope, we did not.
Okay. Well, I'll look at that list.
Okay. So, I spent the Patreon price for this past month.
It makes me so happy.
It makes me happy, too. So, it's... it does not smell like...
It smells like soak.
Yeah, like Soak Celebration. It is Knitting Color. What was it? Something
super fun.
Super fun. So it is a roving that is dyed black in spots and then speckled throughout. So I knew I wanted to spin it bulky because I was afraid those speckles would lose a lot of color if they were spun pretty thin.
Go ahead.
And so, no, you're fine. And so I wanted to spin it a little bit more bulky. So this is 75 yards of a bulky. And this is going to be our Patreon prize for this month. I need to add a tie to it so I can tie the tag to it because I have a tag for it. And for some reason when I tied it, I only did 2. Look at you. Here, I got... You want to do this while I continue talking? But that's what it looks like in this game. So it is 75 yards. And it is from Knitting Color. And it's superwash merino and super fun. So, and it's a 2-ply. And then I had this in my stash for forever. This is because then I was on like a I can spin bulky kick. So this is
okay. Give me the tag for that.
I gave them to you earlier. What did I do with them? Oh, this is Gone Fishing by Sun Valley Fibers. Look, this is my tag, so I know stuff. It is a bulky 4 ounces. Again, this one's 90 yards. It was chain plied, so it's a 3-ply. So this is going to be, I think, my Quidditch. Because Quidditch you could spin for this time. Quidditch is, again, made up.
Imaginary points. Harry Potter Knit and Crochet House Cup.
Points.
That's on Ravelry if you are into ridiculous, unnecessary deadlines.
And imaginary points.
Yes. But it is good, like, you know, good for, like, if you need help making goals, they are excellent at that. And they're also just good people in general.
They are good people, but they also, there's some people who do some really, really inspiring projects. So someone right now is doing a blanket out of, like, their first hand spun. So I have all these, like, quasi-bulky hand spuns that I spun, like, my first year. And now I'm like, those aren't really good enough to do anything out of. But she's doing a blanket out of hers. Just like doing like a, 2-row stripe throughout the whole thing.
That'd be a cool use.
And
yeah.
I think that's so there's a lot of inspiration. I just put the tag on there as in that group as well. So this is Superwash BFL. This is going to be a kid's sweater. It's only 90 yards, but I think I can get like because it's bulky, I think I can get like a newborn size sweater out of it. So and it's Superwash BFL. So that's going to be a kid's sweater. And then last but not least is Sparkle. Do you see all
spaced out or something?
Yeah, it's spaced out from hip strings. This is 8 ounces. It's 250 yards of a bulky, chunky Aran thing. And it's really heavy because it's 25% of this nylon. And I want to I think I might give it a second wash because my water was really, really black. And I thought this was natural black fiber, but
it is not.
I don't think it is. I think it's got some dye in there, but it's got those rainbow sparkles. So I just want it to give it another wash.
Yeah, I think you got to combine it with something with color. It'll be fun. Yeah.
So these might become, this is a little bit rougher. It's like a Finn, Shetland, and then the nylon is a little rough. So I think I'm going to do mittens out of this.
With a liner?
With a liner, maybe.
I suggested thrums.
She did suggest thrums.
Because you can really play with color with thrums. Because when you're knitting with thrums, it's essentially like little puffs of fiber that you insert.
Yeah, but it's got so much rainbow sparkle in it. I think like thrums plus rainbow sparkle might be like, that might push it from like crazy to, oh my god, what were you thinking crazy?
That's usually my favorite crazy.
Okay.
But that's okay.
It could also be, you could totally go with a commercial and be like Farrell. Again, moving past the like crazy to super crazy point. But yeah, so that's done. So I spun a pound of fiber this week.
It's pretty amazing.
Because it's all bulky. That's the only reason why. And I was procrastinating on Even Star. Also, the only reason why. So that is what I have for spinning. Do you have any spinning? Well, you hurt your hand. I thought you might have spun instead of knit.
No, because I still do everything with my right hand, and it would just catch.
With your right hand?
Yeah, I control the tension in the fiber with this hand.
Okay.
You do the same thing, dude.
I don't really use my backhand. I use my front hand.
Well, I use my back because I don't like to inchworm. It makes me crazy.
Sorry, I do inchworm.
I know. And you make beautiful yarn. I just don't. It makes me crazy to do that.
Inchworm is another name for short forward draft.
Yeah. You could also do short backward draft, but I think most people do it. Yeah, the forward motion, but yeah.
Yeah. I think when most people talk about inchworm, they're talking about a short forward draft.
Probably so.
I don't know. Anyway.
We like to bicker about shit for no reason.
No reason at all. That's why we're besties. I have no books to read. And Leslie says I'm boring in the show notes, but it's true. I don't have anything to talk about.
Now, notice she didn't say she didn't read any books. She just doesn't have anything to talk about. That's
I really don't have anything to talk about. I don't even know if I read any books. I've been working on Even Star, and I can't do anything else when I'm doing Even Star.
Yeah.
Like, except on the Restros, I've been watching Amy Beth, because she's my jam. And then when I'm caught up with her, because she only records, like, once every...
I think it's 2 weeks.
Something like that. But I'm, like, caught up right now. I'm going to switch over to Amy Florence of the Stranded Dye Works podcast, because she's also my jam, and adorable. So, Amy Beth is literally my jam, because all she does is talk about jam. For a good bit. She talks about spinning and knitting, but she does talk a lot about jam. And picking apples. Oh, so the orchard that's in Murfreesboro. There's an orchard in Murfreesboro. Was it Jones Orchard? I don't know. It's that one that we drove past the road stand for.
Okay.
They have not pear picking. That was in the spring. Or summer. They have, there's an autumn splendor peach.
Are you talking about Millington?
Yes.
Okay, that is not Murfreesboro.
Okay, that is totally not Murfreesboro.
Much closer than Murfreesboro.
Yes. Okay, so Millington, where the Olympic training facility is.
Right.
They have an orchard there, and they have late peaches that we can start picking this weekend if you weren't going out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also have an apple called Arkansas Black that Amy Beth has never tried. Because I asked her.
No, I've never even heard of that.
I haven't either, and I wanted to know if it was a crispy apple, because I don't like soggy type apples. They're not soggy, but like the non-crisp apples.
Like a Red Delicious?
Yes,
yeah.
I don't like those.
That's fair.
I like my apple to have a little bit of bite. So
are Arkansas Black apples?
I don't know, but we might have to go pick some and see.
We
Or at
could
least
email
go to-
them.
Well, I Googled,
Oh.
and there's, like, a difference of opinion. So there's storage apples, which means people can store them
Right.
for, like, months on end. And so one of the reviewers said that they got them towards the end of the storage time, and so they were less crisp
Right.
then. But it could be because they were sitting in someone's basement for 3 months.
Right.
I don't know. They're supposed to have layers of flavor, though.
So, we're going to crowdsource. Has anybody ever had an Arkansas apple? And if so...
Arkansas Black apple.
Arkansas Black apple.
They're, like, almost black in appearance, too.
Interesting.
We should get them just for that. I could totally be making that part up.
She frequently does that.
I do, and I don't feel like looking at them again.
But
I do have it saved on my phone on, like, the 800 open tabs.
yeah, I'm down for some apple picking.
Okay, we should do that. They had, like, summer apples, too, in July. There were some ripe apples. And they also had strawberries, nectarines, pears, and lots of different types
It's unusual
of
to
peaches.
have apple orchards here in the South.
Well, it doesn't get cold.
Yeah.
It's too hot.
So books. I finished listening to Earthcore, which got really, like...
That's a great name.
H.P. Lovecrafty, sort of, at the
Oh.
end. And don't get me wrong,
Did you journey to the center of the earth?
it was kind of along that vein.
Yeah.
I won't give it away. It was a good book. It was just, it got a little weird for me, at the end. And then...
Were there aliens?
I'm not going to ruin the book. Sorry, not going to happen.
There's aliens, aren't there? There's aliens. Are there time traveling aliens? 'Cause
No.
Those are my favorite.
No. I listened to 2 books that I had previously read, Illumine and Gemina, which are the first 2 in a trilogy, and the third one is Obsidia, and it doesn't come out till next year. And
Did you read the new Born of Fire series book? There's a third.
Fused in Fire. I've downloaded it, but I haven't
Okay.
started it. So Illumine and Gemina are both science fiction-y books, and they're told by way of, like, transcripts of video recordings and memos. And you would think that wouldn't work on audio, but they did a really good job. And they're by 2 authors that I really like. And I didn't really realize until the middle of the second book that they're YA. Like, I got to the point where I was like, everybody's a teenager. Why is everybody a teenager?
That's that point when you're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
YA.
And, it's perfectly...
There's no sex.
No, not at all.
Are there drugs?
Yes.
Are there Is there violence?
Yes.
Is there... Alcohol kind of falls into drugs. Is there cussing?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Although all the cussing is redacted because it's all in the form of
Transcripts.
memos, and cursing is.
What's the book where they were oh no, it's the movie Fantastic Mr. Fox, and they're like cuss 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 anytime they cuss.
Yeah,
That's very funny.
So I
It's a
listened
great
to
book.
both
It's
of
a terrible
those.
movie.
They were good, and then I'm currently listening to the newest in the Throne of Glass series,
No.
which is called Tower of Dawn, and it's mostly about Kael, who was injured at the end of the last book, and he's now
through the first book. I need to go back to the.
I mean, it's a very meaty. It's very like an epic fantasy.
I feel like those kind of fantasies I have to read after they all come out, because I lose progression.
Yeah, no, you definitely have to re-listen to them for the most part. I had already done that earlier this year, so I was okay. But all those books were good. I've read a couple, but they were meh. If they're not really great, I'm not going to bother mentioning them. So. Then that's all I got. Laura has no books to talk about.
Yep, I'm book talking Body in the Woods by April Henry this week, though. It's a good book. It's a thriller. Suspense. If you I'm trying to think of a good one. So it is about these 3 kids from very different backgrounds that work on a search and rescue, and they're looking for a missing adult that's got I don't know if he's got autism. Anyway, there's a missing adult. So they're looking through the woods in the search and rescue, and they come across a body of a young girl who's been murdered, and the murderer sees them and thinks that they saw them.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of comes after them, and it switches points of view, and it's really, really good. And the first chapter, I'm just going to read the first page to the kids. It's really, really well written. And I like April Henry, so if you've not tried her stuff and you are into...
Hey guys, so at this point when we were recording, we didn't notice it, but apparently I had leaned forward and knocked a cable loose for the microphone. Yay me! So I'm just going to quickly cover what we talked about at the end. Luckily it was close to the end. Laura's already gone, so I can't make her come back and do this again. So we did briefly talk about where we're going to be travel-wise for the next 6 to 8 months, but we'll talk about that again next week when we record. And we talked about the Halloween Craft All the Things, which starts later this week on the 15th, and basically it's a fall/Halloween craft along, and it can be any craft. It can be knitting, weaving, cooking, scrapbooking, whatever. Just find a way to tie it to either fall or Halloween, and we are so cheater friendly on this. And you can be entered to win prizes. And if you are a crafter who makes or sells their own products and you're interested in donating a prize, just give us a email either myself or Laura at Leslie@TheKnitGirls.com or Laura@TheKnitGirls.com. And then we drew for Patreon prizes, and I've still got everything highlighted so I can actually just tell you who won rather than you having us sit through us doing a random number generator. So the winner for Laura's Handspun, this lovely Nidian color, super fun, chunky yarn, this goes to Patricia Hobbs. I think this is maybe her second time winning, I think, this particular prize. So congratulations, Patricia, and thank you for donating to the show. And then our yarn prize, the commercial yarn prize this week is, or this month, is from Turtle Pearl, and this is self-striping sock yarn in the Party We're 5 colorway, and this was the color that she specially dyed for us for SSK last year, 2016. So this is going to our yarn winner, and that is Christy Wheeler, who I'm pretty sure we've met, but I don't have her RAV name, and that's usually how I remember people. So anyway, congratulations, Christy and Patricia. We'll get this mailed out to you. We have your address from the Patreon worksheet. So I think that's about it. Yes. So you guys have a lovely week, and we'll be back next week, and hopefully all of our equipment will cooperate. Thanks, guys. Bye, y'all.